to the NFL. Last week, you had Pittsburgh -6 versus the Raiders. How do you feel about that one? I know you lost. You didn't get that one, but
Well, I was actually happy. I picked that game wrong, but to see the Steelers lose is always a pleasure.
mm-hmm.
I had T.J. Watt really dominating that game, and T.J. Watt got hurt in the first half with a groin injury. He was banged up, so that was a killer. The Raiders were in a tough spot off a short week, overtime win, going on the road, going east, and Derek Carr's looked great. I mean, he's been phenomenal, and nobody had the Raiders at 2-0 right now.
He leads the NFL in passing yards.
Yeah,
I mean, I saw that today. I was like, wow, I would never have guessed that. Derek Carr, So, you had last week. These are other two ones you had. These are both wins though. You had the Niners -3 at Philly. I know you were pretty confident on that one last week.
Yeah, Philly beat the Falcons. They blew them out the first game, so I thought public perception was that Philly is a little bit better than they are. That was a defensive battle, but the Niners have been great on the East Coast. They actually stay at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, so they don't travel all the way back to Cali. They actually stay there, which is kind of cool. And when they stay there, they usually cover. They stayed there last year versus the Giants, and they had like their fourth string playing because everybody was hurt on that team last year. Kittle, Bosa, Garoppolo, everybody, and then they blew out the Giants on the East Coast. And so yeah, that was good. I'll take the NFC West versus the NFC East all day.
Oh, definitely. That's well, you also had the Saints -3 at the Panthers, and you ended up winning that one.
Yeah, touched on Jameis Winston getting back on track to his normal self last week. Said he'd throw a couple picks. He's throwing more interceptions against the Panthers than anybody else in his career, and they won 38-3 versus the Packers in Week 1. So I feel like everybody was on the Saints last week versus Sam Darnold and the Panthers, and Panthers dominated that game. And that team, I mean, that team's plays Houston, I think Thursday, and not many people had the Panthers at 3-0. But Sam Darnold, I like that offense. I like their coach, the former Baylor coach, and that's a tough division with the Bucs. But 3-0, their win total was 7.5 for the year. So,
well, who do you have for yours for this week?
I like Washington plus 8.5 at Buffalo.
Okay.
I know I've been on Washington. Washington played their first 2 games at home. They actually played better on the road. They won their last 4 road games last season, all as an underdog. Buffalo, they just won 35-0 versus the Dolphins. I think Josh Allen is going to regress a little bit this year. I think he played a little bit over his head last year, and the Washington defensive line has not been a factor at all this year with 4 first-round picks on their defensive line, and got Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen. I think those guys get going a little bit this week, and I think 8.5 is too big of a number. It started at 9.5. It's gone down a little bit. I think Taylor Heinicke's pretty underrated. I'm still concerned about the Bills' rushing game. I don't think they have a very good rushing attack, and I expect Washington to keep this game close in Buffalo.
Okay. You got any other ones for?
Yeah, I have 2 more picks for the NFL. I have the Rams plus 1.5 at home versus the Bucs.
Ooh.
Probably be the game of the week. I think the game means a lot more to the Rams than the Bucs. You know, the Bucs won the Super Bowl last year. You know, the Rams play in the NFC West. You know, it's the toughest division in football. The Bucs can afford to drop this game, and you know, Tom Brady's going to be there late in the season when it counts. You know, so.
Do you think the Rams can make it to the NFC Championship game?
I think they can. I think they have top 5 defense, and you know, obviously with Stafford, they can take some more of those deep shots that McVay wants to take with. They got Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, you know, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, and I think Sean McVay's loving his life a little bit with Stafford. But the Bucs defense, the last 2 weeks, they've given up 54 points. I don't think their secondary is as good as it was last year. Their running backs really aren't that great. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. I believe they both had 2 or 3 turnovers in the first game versus the Cowboys. And Bucks flying out west. I expect the Rams to win this game straight up, and
Okay.
should be a shootout. The Bucks have played the Falcons and the Cowboys, so those are 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL. Bottom 10 defenses. The Rams have a top 5 defense in the NFL, so I like the Rams this week to win straight up.
Okay.
My third game is the Colts versus the Titans. The Colts are plus 5.5. The Colts are 0-2. The Titans are coming off a big overtime win versus Seattle. The Colts play good in Tennessee usually, and Carson Wentz, I believe he's out, which is big, but I don't think it's that big of a drop-off with Jacob Eason. I think he's capable. The Colts did win in Tennessee last year, 34-17. Granted, there will be fans this year, but I think the Titans' defense is just terrible. They're not good at all. They've given up 68 points in the first 2 games, and I expect Jonathan Taylor to get the run game going. I like Michael Pittman. He's one of my biggest fantasy sleepers, USC wide receiver, and I think the Colts can potentially win this game and definitely cover 5.5.
Okay. Do you have I know we usually don't do this, but do you have any games in college that you're looking forward to? Not betting wise or anything, but just kind of something that pops out. I know this week's not a high flyer week or anything, but any games you're looking to watch?
Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. I think Notre Dame is generally just pretty overrated. So I think Wisconsin's going to run the ball down their throat. Wisconsin's a 6.5 point favorite. That game's at noon. That's one of the best games of the week. I think